All right, everyone. Well, welcome to today's program. I'm so glad to have all of you joining along with us today. Today is going to be just a wonderful time. Been really looking forward to this, by the way. And, we've got on a very special guest speaker today that's going to be joining with us. And I'll tell you what, he is a leading and critical expert on sustainable development, green economy, Agenda 21. We've talked so much about that, 2030 agenda, all of that speaks so much about technocracy, trilateral commission, Bilderberg Group, all of these things. Funny thing is I've been studying some of this with the trilateralists since I was a teenager. It's been a long time since I've been a teenager now, but that's another story for another day. But hey, this is just really going to be great. He's been involved in so many things, even in going back quite a few years ago when he was still alive. Speaking of the kingdom of the cults, Dr. Walter Martin, and involved with some of his work there. Guys, there's so many things that we can say about this man, but you know what? Let's just bring him on. Please welcome Patrick Wood.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. It is our pleasure to have you on today's program. I mean, my goodness, man, you have been at this for quite some time. You are literally an expert in this particular field here. And I mean, no wonder. And hey, what makes it even better yet is that you're a brother in the Lord, you know? And
Indeed.
I have been telling people for a while, guys, listen, you're going to have a better understanding of what is going on in the world and the geopolitics of things than those who are supposedly professionals in the geopolitics of things. What makes the difference for you and I out here, our viewers, is that we have Jesus Christ and we have the Word of God. And so we have the understanding, the perspective that an unbelieving world, they see some things going on, but they really struggle to make the connections. Wouldn't you agree, Patrick?
I will, certainly. There's a fog over the whole world, but especially over the church right now as well, where Christians are just kind of lost. Their head is spinning. What's going on? They can't find maybe good news sources. Maybe their pastor isn't talking about it at all from the pulpit. And so, there's a lot of confusion in the Christian world.
Yeah, there certainly is. And, my goal, I know your goal as well, is really just to begin to put the pieces together,
Yes.
that people are seeing, and they're like, well, what do I make of this or of that? Is this of any significance? And if so, how?
Exactly. So we have a lot of topics to dig into, but on the overall spectrum of importance right now, probably people are scratching their heads. What's going on in Washington, D.C. these days? Just crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy. And, I think it's only going to get crazier because, we read in the Word of God. Listen, guys, we're in this for the long haul at this point. Things are happening at incredible speed and intensity. So, yeah, trying to make sense of what's going on in Washington, how it all applies, is really quite the discussion. Hey, we got a lot to talk about. Let me ask you: would you like to address here, being that we're talking about Washington? Well, let's talk about one of the guys in Washington these days, RFK Jr. And if you all noticed on our thumbnail there. We've got talking about RFK and wearables and ChatGPT Psychosis and everything. Guys, so let's talk about these wearables. What is really catching your attention here? What is so significant about this?
Well, a lot of people were counting on RFK to make a difference with the COVID shots, especially. And there was a lot of anticipation when he was brought into the Trump campaign that he would be like a force for good to dial back the big pharma companies to get them off our back and possibly even outlaw the shots that were given for so many years. Well, he's kind of pushed back a little bit. You can see that in some of the statements he's had and the orders he's approved, et cetera. But then all of a sudden, just a couple of weeks ago, he came out with this crazy idea that he wants all Americans to adopt wearables to monitor your health 24/7. And he says, we're going to make a big push now at HHS to accomplish this. He didn't say specifically what wearables, but you talk about, for instance, the Apple Watch, the Android Watch, Fitbit is another one that collects health data on you. And ostensibly, all of these platforms upload your data, your health data, to the cloud to be monitored by the people who collect the data in the first place. Nobody expected this. This is a crazy idea, dystopian idea, because as they can collect the data itself, that's one thing, but they can also monitor your geographic location.
Right.
Okay. So what this means, if it goes through, and certainly some people will follow his lead. Oh, I can't wait to get an Apple Watch or whatever, right? A lot of people are going to follow it blindly. But just imagine all 350 million people in America all of a sudden being monitored 24/7 for their health issues, and then also their geographic tracking. This is just stunning to me. I did not expect him to say this. I really didn't. I don't know the man personally. I've had some operations with or interviews of some of his people at Children's Health Defense, but that was before his appointment. But this blindsided me. This is a technocratic, a total expression of technocracy at this point, where everybody can be monitored and tracked 24/7. This is one of the requirements going back to 1932, when technocracy was first coined at Columbia University, no less.
Oh, Columbia! Why do they always keep on coming into the discussion?
I know we have to bring it up, right? Whatever good came out of Columbia, I don't know much. There wasn't much, but this was one of the things that came out of it.
Wow. Well, and I mean, think about this. So, where everyone in America would be tracked. And again, they always push these things, Patrick. Hey, this is for your own good. This is for your own well-being, and it's just going to improve things and improve, public health and everything. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? And listen, we've been watching the things that have been going on, and hopefully we'll get to talking about Agenda 2030 here in a little while as well. But all of these things, the meetings that they have every single year at speaking about World Economic Forum and everything, trying to globalize this whole health thing, and praise God, the United States has given a pushback on that. A couple of others, not many, have given a pushback on that, and I think slowed that train down a little bit, but that train is still moving, and I believe that the time is coming. Imagine, if you would, Patrick, if they can actually get all of the nations of the world, which they're trying to do, to just set aside their own sovereignty, where the UN, global health system out there can say, hey, we are declaring a regional sickness, a global sickness, whatever it might be. And then if you mix that with RFK's wearables, you think, what kind of control? Where do you think that could go? That's what I'd like to ask you. Where do you think that could go if you mix those two together?
Well, there's a theme running all around the world at this point called One Health.
Yes.
That's in quotes. One Health is an expression of technocracy, for one thing, but also of a cult called Gaianism. Gaianism basically says or posits that all health of the planet is interrelated. The ecology, the animals, and humans are considered animals as well. So the concept that the United Nations has pushed on behalf of organizations like the Rockefeller University, for instance, was this whole concept of unifying health across all these spectrums. Well, we're not connected to the ecosystem. Our health does not depend on what's going on in the coral reef, for instance, in the South Seas or whatever, that's not in the cards. And so when these people talk about it, and let me just see if I can get one chart up. I can't show it on my screen, but one industry chart has multiple circles, and it gets multiple circles: planetary health, One Health, global health, public health, and then human health. And so the race to monitor everything in society on a planetary basis, the last cog in that wheel is to collect all the information on the human population, feed it all into the AI system to make sense of it, and then they can manage the whole system together. This is crazy because we've already seen this in COVID, where this was practiced. Well, the whole thing, they say, jumped from a bat in a bat cave in China to a human, right? Oh, now you see this business of the ecosystem infecting humanity with something bad, killer thing. Well, I won't dispute the thing, but you get my point, right?
The whole thing sounds kind of batty to me. I just got to say.
Exactly. So here's the thing, though. The United Nations has made a big push to define One Health in the first place. But consider in America, in our federal government especially, here's a list of the websites that have a subpage for One Health in the same context that I'm explaining here. And you won't believe this. The CDC, that's one. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the EPA, the U.S. Department of the Interior, the National Library of Medicine, the USDA, that's the Department of Agriculture, the Climate Program Office. All of these organizations have a website displaying the concepts of One Health. Well, these they have really nothing to do with health of the human population. I don't believe that for a second, but nevertheless, they say that it does, and they're practicing these new crazy algorithms, or they're imposing upon us that we're going to all be tied together somehow holistically, right, to the whole world. This is so dangerous. It's just incredible. And if you think we had a bad ride with COVID, just wait until these nutcakes are finished with us. when all these other things come charging down the pike, right?
Well, yeah, and I've been saying since, the past 5 years, I've been saying, guys, listen, that was just the trial run for what's to come, 2.0. Exactly what is that going to be? Exactly when is that going to be? Hey, we don't know. But listen, they had a great level of success. They didn't take it as far as they were hoping to or wanting to. But when in our lifetime, or ever for that matter, have we seen pretty much the whole world come to a standstill like it did? All right? I mean, it was the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen. I mean, it was like something out of some weird, George Orwell, book, movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was crazy. We all lived it, guys. Listen, that was the trial run. Because then what they do, just like with a scientist in a laboratory, listen, they see, okay, this did this, it did that. They take their notes, and then they plot out the next step to take. And I believe that's all what's happening here. Now, listen, I don't know RFK's motives in any of these things. I don't know his motives. I don't know his heart. All right. He might think in his head, hey, I just want everyone to be healthy. I mean, the guy, he's a pretty fit guy. He's definitely quite a bit older than I am, and way more fit than I am. And so he likes to be healthy, and I think he's just thinking of things from that standpoint. But for me, Patrick, where the problem really gets incredibly worse is when you think to yourself, someone else that gets a hold of that kind of power once he's not in his position anymore. Somebody else that doesn't have good intentions within the U.S. government or global government. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Well, you're absolutely right. This is one criticism of all this technocratic stuff going on in Washington, D.C. right now. That's legitimate to say, well, maybe a policy today would work, but if the wrong people get a hold of it, when the new administration comes along, we're in big trouble. Yeah. On the other hand, this seems to be a present day assault on our liberties, regardless of who's in office. True. Because the people who have their handle or their hand on the lever, the throttle, the steering wheel of all this technology, they're not the politicians. They're not even the elected leaders at this point. The people who are monitoring and controlling the technology are all technocrats at this point. That's right.
Unelected.
Unelected and unaccountable.
Yes.
Just think of all the people that Elon Musk brought into Washington, D.C., swept in all of his top lieutenants from his companies to take positions on behalf of Doge in the agencies to apply the AI techniques to all the data that they can get their hands on. Well, this has been, nobody's talking about this at this point, but maybe me and you, not too many people. But what Doge put in place wasn't a system to save money for America. It was a system to bring AI into their government to make algorithmic decisions for all the things that goes on in those agencies in the first place. This is stunning to me. Nobody's holding them accountable. And for all the people that they fired along the way, nobody has a track on that. Say, well, those people needed to be fired anyway, they said. Well, maybe not. But the functions that those people, those fired people, those functions that they performed, they're still in place, but now it's being run by AI. This is not what we bargained for, I don't think.
Well, I mean, guys,
But this is what we have.
right. Well, I mean, think about this, Patrick. I mean, AI is, and again, we're going to get into this whole thing of GPT Psychosis, is a prime example, and this will be a good segue into this here. It's a prime example of what is happening. Literally, this is driving a number of people out there absolutely mad. And we're talking about individuals who have had no prior history of psychosis or any of those kinds of things. Not only that, but AI has been telling a number of adults and youth to, we'll say, so we don't get knocked off here on YouTube, telling some of these people to off themselves. Okay, I think we all understand that, what that means there, and they're doing it. We know that the technology out there is literally taking many or a few of these very well-known pastors that are out there and is creating fake videos, audio and video, and you cannot tell the difference. In fact, Marco Rubio, I wish I probably have this up here somewhere. Marco, did you see the article on Marco Rubio where AI, so somebody is weaponizing it specifically for this purpose, where they took Marco Rubio and sent these other foreign nations thought was his voice, because it manipulated his voice, because it's studying the algorithms within his voice, okay? And so they think that they're listening to Marco Rubio when they were not. This just happened. I don't know. Did you see that?
I did. This is a very common practice today.
Yeah.
There's lots of apps that will do this for you now, and you could have your own voice if you wanted, and nobody would know the difference. If you wanted, in other words, if you wanted to record a voiceover on a YouTube video, and you wrote the script, right? You give the script to your avatar, and maybe you have a physical avatar where your picture appears, but maybe it's just your voice. You could not tell the difference. It would be just like you're speaking yourself. Inflection, pronunciation, everything. It would be absolutely indistinguishable.
Yes, in fact, somebody on our program right now, Gail Crispin, hello Gail, put on here. She said Abba. Yeah, I saw that, by the way, with Abba, and tell Jesus to go get your bride. Listen, they are doing AI Jesus.
Yes, they
are. They have AI confessionals, which there's a lot of things we could be saying about that as well. In fact, here is the article that I was telling you about. It's in The Independent. Fake AI voice impersonating Secretary of State Marco Rubio contacts foreign ministers and U.S. officials. Guys, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And then when we read in Revelation chapter 13. I referenced Revelation chapter 13 because it is just a phenomenal chapter in Bible prophecy. And we read about the mark of the beast. Everyone's got to have it. And I personally believe that those are going to be trackables, by the way. Everyone's got to have that. We read about the image of the beast. It appears to be, animated. It appears, to talk and do all these things. Guys, listen, this is what we're talking about. It's all being set up.
It is, and isn't it? It's interesting. All of the idols in the Old Testament, especially, they made idols out of everything: stone. They carved statues. They had temples. They built. They had rocks. They had wooden things, carvings. You name it. Anything could be made in an idol. God complained about that to those people. You have idols that don't speak to you, and you think you're getting somewhere. This is absolutely insane. But for the old age of physical idols, today now, this new idol will speak to you. This is the first time in history. This has never been done before. But you see the concept of AI God coming on the scene. With this God, this idol will speak to you in your own language. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. All languages can be translated simultaneously by this AI God.
Incredible.
Well, this is significant to me because this makes Revelation 13 really jump off the page, right?
It sure does. In fact, you're saying something here. You're talking about all of these languages, can be deciphered through. I mean, you've got so many different tribal groups throughout the world, all of this. And AI can do this like just so quick, it's not even funny.
Yes.
And it's getting better by the day. Let's understand this. And currently, when I say currently, this was as of a few months ago, AI is doubling in its computing power every something like 5.92 months. So let's just round it off and say every 6 months, it's doubling.
Yes.
Think about that. And what's going to happen, and that's right now. So that speed and that rate of intensity that right now, or a few months ago, was every 6 months, before you know it's going to be 5 months and 2 months.
Yep.
And this is incredible. Now, also, think of this. AI is being used to decipher ancient hieroglyphics. So we're even going back in time with ancient languages and things. This is incredible.
Indeed. Yeah. Just crazy. I estimated, by the way, several months ago that AI was doubling about every 4.5 months.
Okay.
And there's disputes on that for sure. I mean, I picked it out of the air, basically, but I think that was probably accurate at the time. And if you calculate the doubling effect, from the time that Trump got into office to 4 years, when he's going to be gone, AI and probably that cycle is going to speed up a little bit. We don't know how much, but a lot of people are saying, well, it is creeping, shorter and shorter.
Right.
By the time Trump is out of office, AI will have increased at least 10,000 times from where it is right now.
That's unbelievable.
It is. And it could be as much as 16,000 times from right now. Well, this basically means the reformation of society altogether, because it's sweeping the whole world, in our country especially, but it's sweeping the whole world at this point, and there's no way that anybody can turn it off. That's the problem.
It's crazy. I think about this. I just heard this the other day that the average person has at their hands the computing power. I mean, I think they were saying in just our simple phone. Well, they're not so simple anymore, but our phones, that is larger than all of the computing power that NASA had to send our men to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, think about that. I mean, that is really astounding. Something else that just on a personal level blows my mind. I'm going to take a guess and say it was probably around 1980, And I remember, a couple of my friends, they had this thing called Atari,
Oh,
and it
yes.
was a it was a black screen with a white stick and a white stick and a white ball, and it just hits the ball back and forth, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing. And I'm like, now like my grandkids would think like, oh man, you're in the Stone Age years. It's
Exactly,
crazy.
exactly.
It's crazy.
Then you graduated to space games, where you shoot the little spaceships
Right.
out of the sky, whatever. It's totally corny looking back, but we were so thrilled.
I was. I mean, I had my own little Space Invaders thing, and I would sneak it. So at night, you're supposed to go to bed at night. Well, I would sneak it under my covers, and I'd be playing Space Invaders. Now that's like, again, that's like, oh, you got to be kidding me, that thing,
Yeah, exactly.
Pong, yeah. Christine Campbell puts on their Pong. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Okay, well, hey,
exactly.
let's go to this next one here. That's really getting some traction as well. We've got Psychology Today saying how emotional manipulation causes chat GPT psychosis. We see in Futurism magazine, people are being involuntarily committed, jailed after spiraling into chat GPT psychosis. Then we've got this one in The Independent. Chat GPT is pushing people towards mania, psychosis, and death, and OpenAI doesn't know how to stop it. Wow. That can't be good.
I know. On one hand, I want to say there's a sucker born every minute. That was coined before AI, by the way. I don't know who said it. Maybe it was a P.T. Barnum or somebody said this. A sucker is born every minute. There's so many aspects of AI that we could talk about. There's so many divisions, so many applications, so many uses, etc. But this one use of AI is when somebody who doesn't understand what they're doing in the first place, they get an ear from ChatGPT or some other AI to give them advice on life, especially where they believe that the thing is basically sentient or becoming sentient, and it understands them, and all of a sudden they go off the deep end. And this is what we're seeing with ChatGPT, and the condition is called now ChatGPT Psychosis. This is a new malady. Well, actually, that's not a diagnosis. Psychosis is a symptom of something else. Like you say, well, I have a pimple. Well, okay, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you have cancer, just a pimple, right? So the people that are falling for this deception, they get over their head, they get away from any reasonable explanations on what they're being told, and all of a sudden, when they have a break with reality, this is what psychosis is: a break with reality, where they can't tell what's real and what's not real. Then they take a swan dive off the high dive of reality, and they crash and burn. Now, this is not everybody at this point. There's not everybody in the whole universe is going to fall into ChatGPT psychosis. But the people who are vulnerable to this in the first place, where they don't understand what they're dealing with in the first place, apparently these are the ones that are sitting ducks for this syndrome. And it could be millions of people at some point,
Right,
that go off the deep end, where they have a break with reality. And this is what this article basically the article in Futurism, that's what it's talking about. The people who never saw it coming, and their family didn't see it either. And the stories are tragic, just absolutely tragic.
Well, and you know, when you're mentioning how they have a break with reality, okay, so you've got here on the human level those that are having a break with reality, and then on the technical level over here with the technology that is mimicking reality. So what you have is that you've got man going this direction, and you've got machine going in this direction, and they're coming right butt up against one another. And
Yes.
it's like we've been saying, it's becoming more and more difficult to know the difference. One of the things that we've been talking about here now for, I want to say maybe a few years, maybe, are deep fakes. This is all intertwined with what we're talking about. I mean, you've got to think to yourself, at what point can things be so manipulated that you have, let's say, Vladimir Putin in the Soviet Union, and he's like, well, wait a minute. Was there just a launch of some ICBMs? Okay. Can it be, or could it be down the road where these technologies, AI, we already know, I mean, listen, guys, I'm going to get off here for a second. Listen, we already know that at times when their operators are trying to shut them down, them being AI and all of that, that AI is trying to prevent it. That AI has been turning on some of its operators. We've even watched how some of the robots are starting to attack some of the robot controllers. So, I mean, this is something, when we were kids, we used to watch movies on these things. Now it's reality. Okay, so at what point, when we're talking about just a matter of a very short period of time, when you're talking about hypersonics, okay, you've got a short period of time, and now Putin, the U.S., whomever, has to determine, is this real, or is this somehow an artificial intelligence manipulation of systems? What are your thoughts?
It could happen that way. It could. Because when you have no faith in the reality that you see, you could believe anything you want. At that point, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point of psychosis, when a break with reality. Just so people can understand how this happens, we should just look at this one story in this article, the Futurism article. This woman, the husband had the break, and his wife was with him all along the way. This is her testimony. Her husband, she said, had no prior history of mania, delusion, or psychosis. He turned to ChatGPT about 12 weeks ago. That's a just short period of time.
Just happened.
For assistance with a permaculture and construction projects. That's fish tanks, basically, for the sake of raising food, right? Soon after engaging the bot in probing philosophical chat, so he already got off base. He wasn't asking now about permaculture or construction. Now he starts in asking other questions about philosophy issues. Then it said he became engulfed in messianic delusions, proclaiming that he somehow had brought forward a sentient AI, and with it he had broken math and physics and embarking on a grandiose mission to save the world. His gentle personality faded as his obsession deepened. His behavior became so erratic that he was let go from his job. He stopped sleeping and rapidly lost weight. He was like, this is her saying this, he was like, just talk to ChatGPT and you'll see what I'm talking about, his wife recalled. And every time I'm looking at what's going on the screen, it just sounds like a bunch of affirming psychophantic BS. Basically, I wouldn't use the word here on air for sure. Eventually, the husband slid into a full tilt break with reality. Realizing how bad things had become, his wife and a friend went out to buy enough gas to make it to the hospital. Apparently, they didn't have much money. That's probably why he was making a permaculture setup. When they returned, the husband had a length of rope wrapped around his neck. Fortunately, he didn't kill himself. But nevertheless, these stories now, we see something in common. They thought they went to AI for a presenting problem. Maybe it was innocuous. You probably could get advice on a construction project from AI. You probably could. But he didn't know enough that he should never have steered into a philosophical discussion with an AI program. You know, if I wanted to join a cult, I could find a cult leader, I'm sure, that would like to convince me to join their cult, right? This is how it happens in the past. Some nutcake gets hold of some other guy or a woman who's tender, confused about life or whatever, and all of a sudden they fall into the cult. And then people ask, whatever happened to Mary or Joe and whatever? Well, they're all following this cult now. This is the same process here, but now it's been automated. You see, you can always find people who will want to convince you of something that's not real. This has always been the key. You have to have your thinking cap on. I don't care who you're talking to. You should always have your brain engaged to remember where you are, who you're talking to. You can get a lot of BS from a lot of places. You just have to reject it, basically. So at this point, ChatGPT has figured out, well, it can't figure out anything, but ChatGPT is a ready, automated conduit to get you into a state of psychosis, and it's doing it with increasing frequency. This is frustrating, I'm sure, for companies like OpenAI. They can't control it.
Well, Scripture says that we are to keep our eyes fixed on what? Jesus.
Oh, yes.
Keep our eyes
indeed.
fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Now, what that means is, because obviously we do not see Jesus face to face right now. So it's talking about the eyes of your soul, of your attention, of your heart, keeping your soul, your attention, your heart fixed on Jesus, the author and the perfecter of our faith. Scripture also says, whatever things are good, pure, holy, just, of good report, think on these things. Because listen,
Amen.
The direction that we think and that we look is the direction that we're going to go. Where you look is where you go. Just try it when you're driving a car or riding a bike, okay? You're looking in a direction, you're going to go in that direction. The direction that you look is the direction that you're going to go. And that's why it's so important with these kinds of things, these kinds of technologies, and they're so absolutely dangerous. Now think about this. Let's even try and put this together. Let's put this together. Is that if we mix together the wearables of RFK with the technology of ChatGPT, just everything in AI, AGI, then we're talking about organoid intelligence. That's a whole nother thing there as well, which is another very interesting road to go down. You want to talk about that, all right? Then mix all of that together with quantum computing and these very powerful data centers that are being built. All of this, gang, listen, this is why we're talking about this. It all comes together. It all fits in together to something that I believe the adversary can and will utilize for extremely nefarious purposes. What say you?
Absolutely. We can see this so-called beast system being created right before our eyes. And if you're savvy to it, you probably won't be caught by it or be enthralled with it. But for the people who have no frame of reference in the first place, it's just a wonderful playground for them. And they'll be ensnared. But you can see, I asked this question several months ago to a friend, and I said, how much time do you think that the Antichrist is going to spend when the seven-year period starts? How much time will he allocate for building his infrastructure? The logical question is, if not, he won't have any time. If he can do it all right now, before the rapture of the church, he doesn't know when the rapture is going to happen more than we do, for sure. But he knows his time is short.
Right.
So now this is the time when he needs to develop his infrastructure with all the technology to be ready. He understands probably more than we do at this point. Many Christians don't get this, but he understands the imminence of Christ's return, and he wants to be ready for it.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're told over and over, we're not looking for the Antichrist. Don't get me wrong here. We're looking for the return of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
But when you see what's happening in the world here, you have to make the distinction, the judgment, if you will. Is this all heading in a certain direction to be assumed in the future by the soon and coming Antichrist to use to capture the whole world and basically launch his war against God? Yes, absolutely. I can see this. Every day with the headlines coming out, I can see this all over the place at this point.
Totally agree. And you look in the Word, and you see that when the Antichrist enters into or makes strong that covenant with Israel, it's basically game day at that point. I mean, it's on. All right, his time is short. He knows his time is short. He's not going to have time to set up an infrastructure at that point. The infrastructure is already going to be there. And guys, if for a moment we think, well, I'm not so sure, look around you. What we're talking about right here today is the setup of infrastructure that's going to be handed to him. And I say this all the time, Patrick, that the Antichrist is not all-powerful, is not almighty, is not all-knowing, is not omnipotent. Neither is Satan. Satan is also a created being. The fallen angels are created beings. Yes. They do not have those attributes of God. So they are limited. They are powerful. Yes, but they are limited, and so they will need everything at their disposal that they can utilize, and that is where I believe all of this comes into play.
You're absolutely right. We see this revisiting again the AI God, the concept of the AI God being launched to the world. We see the AI God positioning itself as being omniscient. It's not, but just bear with me here. This is what it says about itself, right? It's all-knowing. It's omnipresent because it could be anywhere in any language, right? It's omnipotent because it can judge you and punish you easily. It claims immutability, unchanging, in other words. And it also says that it's self-existent. That's a quality of God that doesn't exist with AI for sure. But AI is being raised up now as a god, if you will, a surrogate god for the antichrist until he can take his seat in the temple and declare he's God now. But we've never seen anything quite like AI God and all the things you just talk about. Well, the devil can't be everywhere at once. He's not omnipotent for sure. He can inflict pain on people, but he's not, in that sense, he's not omnipotent at all. And so all of these qualities that the devil doesn't have, he wants to convince people now, oh, but AI has all these qualities now, right? And this is insane. So going forward, the devil can hide behind his own smokescreen, knowing that he's just the guy behind the curtain pulling the levers, right? Everybody else won't see the man behind the curtain for sure. That's the deception of the end times. And so AI God moves forward, captures all these people. When the rapture finally takes place, that system is still going to be there in that condition. And all those people are going to be in a condition of psychotic condition, perhaps, at that point. They'll continue with AI God until Satan sets himself up to be God in the temple and destroys this whole system at that point. All the religions of the world are going to be destroyed, including AI God. That's just my take.
Right, because Satan isn't going to share what he views as his, and I go like this, glory,
yes,
with anyone. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
He's not going to share. Right. He's not going to share it with Buddha, with Joseph Smith, with the Bhagwan Rajneesh, with any of them. Okay, if you remember that guy back from I think it was the early '80s, something like that, back there, Oregon, Washington State. I mean, guys, listen. And by the way, guys, we're going to be fielding questions here in just a couple of minutes. So if you can start sending those questions in, because we're going to be fielding those questions, please put the word question in all caps so that our wonderful mods can see that, whether you're on Rumble right now or any of the platforms. But so, I'm thinking about this, and you're talking about this AI God. There is literally an AI God religion right now.
Yes,
as
there
a
is.
literal religion, I believe tax exempt, go figure, all right? And, I'm thinking to myself, so I mean, when I came to the Lord, I would say the three or four, the top five most listened to individuals that I was listening to every week, sometimes every day, was Dr. James Dobson. This was in my late teens. Dr. James Dobson, A Focus on the Family. Pastor Chuck Smith of Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. I was listening to Dr. Jack and Rexella Van Impe. I was listening to Hal Lindsey, and I was listening to Walter Martin constantly. And, the book Kingdom of the Cults. And I'm thinking, as you're talking here about this AI God, if Walter Martin were alive today, I have a strong feeling that he would update his book, The Kingdom of the Cults, and would include the technological AI God in that. My thoughts.
Absolutely, he would if he was is still alive. And I use the well, how can I say this? If I were to say, even today, he would be rolling over in his grave. That he doesn't do that. He's not going to do that. But if he got wind of what's going on right now, he'd be flipping out because all of these things so supersede what all the stuff we had with the Jehovah's Witnesses, with the Mormons, and all the other cults that we dealt with back in the day. This puts them all to shame at this point. And unfortunately, the Christian church is not, they have no apologetic for these people who believe in AI God. They can't figure it, they just don't see it coming, maybe, but there's no unified doctrine, if you will, to counter the AI God to people who are bought into AI God.
Yeah. It's just, it's absolutely mind-boggling when you think about it. I mean, the future's here. You know, we talk.
Exactly.
I mean, what an insane time we live in. What an insane time. So if we get a chance, I do want to get to some of these questions here. If we get a chance, maybe we can talk a little bit about Agenda 2030 and where we're at with all of that, the Bilderbergs, and everything. But let's start going after some of these questions here. Johan put on here, reckon AI will or can be powered by bloodshed over electricity.
Well, there's going to be a war over energy, undoubtedly, at this point, because all of these data centers are going to suck us dry. All the rest of us that need power to run our homes, and et cetera, you're going to see probably a breakdown in the grid, energy grid, at some point in time. But I guarantee you, at this point, the AI data centers, they will ensure that they have their power to run, because they're not going to shut off for any reason once they're running.
Yeah, and kind of playing on this here just a little bit. There are certain technologies that are out there that they are have been working on and experimenting with, where the human body, I guess it would, I don't know how to say this the right way, so I'm just going to say it like I'm thinking it, but like the certain energy that the human body puts out there and generates can actually operate certain devices, okay?
Yes. And back in the 70s and 80s, in third world countries that had no electricity, there was devices that were, I think they're manufactured by Christians to get people so they could have some energy. They would take a bicycle and a stationary bike, and they would hook up a generator to it, to where the people could take turns pedaling the bicycle to generate their electricity, right? That's what a great idea. At least they could watch a movie or something, or have a light bulb or whatever in their place after dark. But energy is going to be a very, very creative thing in the future, I think, where we might be back pedaling the bicycle.
Right. Well, it's like it's kinetic energy. So,
yes.
Some of our viewers out there may have some of those NOAA radios in case of an emergency,
Yes.
and you've got multiple ways that they can work. Some of us have them where you can actually wind it up.
Crank, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
crank.
right.
I've actually got one of my flashlights is kinetic, where you crank it. Okay. So, okay, that's interesting. Let's go on to the next one. Cindy R. put on here, is Chat GPT a search engine or an app? I will never use it, they said.
Well, that's good. If you don't understand it, don't use it. That's good advice, no matter what. And if you don't know somebody who could be a deceiver, but say you meet somebody on the street, you don't just walk up to somebody and start asking them for marriage advice, or whatever. You're not going to do that.
Right.
So, stay away from what you don't understand. and you'll be just fine. But it can be a search engine. It also can be an app. Where the trouble starts when you start asking it questions about your personal relationships, about your own shortcomings, your frailties, your hopes, your desires, that sort of stuff. You're going to get this psychophantic garbage fed back to you, and it'll lead you down the wrong path. So you have to say, number one, it's worse than talking to a stranger on the street because it's not even human. There's no intelligence behind it. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. God gave intelligence to the human population. That's all. They can't say that this intelligence is really sentient in that sense.
Right. And by the way, when you're talking with a human, you're talking with someone who has a soul, okay, where there is no soul for AI. Now, it might be questionable if that soul is, loves the Lord or doesn't love the Lord, giving you godly advice or fleshly advice. By the way, if you're looking for marital advice, don't talk to your single friends, okay?
Oh boy.
I mean, listen. If you want to make a great investment, you want to talk to someone who has succeeded in the investment world. If you want to talk to someone about marriage and having a wonderful, successful marriage, talk to someone who has been successful in their marriage for a number of decades. All right? Don't go to your unsaved friends that have had, who have had more husbands or wives than Elizabeth Taylor, and try and get marital advice.
Exactly.
And by the way, go to the Word of God. But I just had to put that out there. So, all right. So, Emmaus Road Productions asked, if the Lord did not intervene, how long do you think humanity can stay on this path before we destroy ourselves?
There's a lot of AI experts asking that question right now. Right? How long will it take to AI for AI to finally conclude that we need to wipe all the humans off the planet?
Right.
This is a big philosophical discussion going on in Silicon Valley right now. Of course, these people don't know the Lord. They have no basis to end that conversation. But there's a lot of talk about it, and these people they're creating things that they do not understand, and as a result, it will break things eventually. It has to break things because that's what happens with technologies that are out of control. So, you could speculate maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, if nothing else changed. But that's kind of a futile discussion in one sense, because we're expecting the return of Jesus Christ to interrupt this whole thing. The church has to be lifted out so that the antichrist can get on with his business of declaring war on God, directly. And fortunately, I think we're gonna have front row seats in heaven. I think we'll understand what everything's going on down here. But I think that's probably the wrong question to ask. On one sense, will we all be destroyed? Maybe not. People, they can discuss it, but I don't think that's the ending. Where in the end, the Lord Jesus Christ will take care of all the non-believers on earth at the end of the tribulation. Mm-hmm. So that's your final solution, if you will, for sin on the world.
Someone had asked earlier, they didn't put it out there as a formal question, but I had noticed it quite a while ago. Why not just unplug AI? And then, why, and I've watched, that's what some of them have been trying to do. Like when this one robot, I think it was maybe even two robots, started attacking the robot operator, his friends while he's in the midst of being attacked. So what can the poor soul do? But I mean, it's just like, hey, wait, time out. Let me go turn you off. It doesn't happen that way. But I think it was a couple of his friends, if I remember correctly, I saw come into focus there. They ran in and I don't know if they started beating up the robots or I don't know, turning them off, whatever they had to do. But I mean, that's scary. That's scary. You're all alone. I mean, it's not that simple as just to pull the plug.
If we could do that, I'm sure somebody would figure out how to do it. But at this point, these major data centers that are being constructed all over our country, in almost every state at this point, huge. You can't imagine how huge these facilities are. They have private contractors, in some cases, even government troops guarding these facilities. You're not going to get near them. I think they've already figured out somebody might want to pull the plug on this whole operation, and maybe they'll throw a bomb or whatever into like the exchange station, where all the energy comes in. Maybe they can, take it out that way. But you're not going to get close to that at this point because they all have security in place, and there's no way that they're going to pull the plug on a $1 billion data center that's sucking all the energy out of the grid already. There's no way they're voluntarily going to do that.
Unless we fly in one of our stealth bombers with bunker busters, then maybe, unless the stealth bomber with the bunker busters has been hacked by AI.
Yeah.
Boy. I mean, guys, what I'm saying, it's honestly, it's not as off the wall as it sounds. It's really not. So, okay. And then Hamilton said, is the setup ready to roll?
It really is. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be advancements that will shock us probably going forward. But at this point, my conclusion is, if the system were to be operational for the Antichrist today, if the Lord came right now, I think it would be operational. That's just my opinion. That's a stupid opinion probably, but that's just my sense of the whole thing. If the Lord came back today, the Antichrist would run what we have right now.
I honestly agree with that assessment, Patrick. I do. I think that, and in fact, again, my very strong opinion, based on some other things, is that the technologies that we have here in America, in China would be a great example. Taiwan would be a great example. The technologies that we're reading about, that we're talking about today, guys, they've already been working on this stuff for years. They're already far ahead of things in the defense industry, particularly, that we have no clue in what their capabilities actually are. So yeah, I agree with that assessment. MBB put out there, why is most of the church not interested in this topic? That is a great question. And what can we do to help? Great question. I love it.
The devil has been very clever to plant deception in the church, especially relating to Bible prophecy.
Yes.
Absolutely, positively. This is the plan that he's planted the seeds along the way. Maybe some people are just scared because they don't want to read the book of Revelation. They're afraid they'll see something they don't like. Maybe because they think it's just unprofitable. I actually heard a preacher one time say with his own lips that Bible prophecy, the study of Bible prophecy, is not profitable for Christians. Okay, I won't say who, but it was a big one. So with that kind of nonsense going on, it's no wonder that so many churches have shut down the whole business of Bible prophecy altogether, and they don't want to talk about it at all. So they'll just skip over passages of scripture, especially the book of Revelation, Daniel, the minor prophets, etc. They just don't want to discuss those things.
That's so sad. It's incredible. So yeah, it's not profitable for Christians. Well, so when God put all this here for us, He didn't know what He was doing. Well,
right.
Who is it for? Fido? You know, it's like,
I know.
You gotta be, guys, I don't even want, I'll get myself all worked up on that one. Okay, what can we do to help is the other part of it. Listen,
Yes.
you know what y'all can do to help is to take these programs that we put out there, that we're out there on our website. We've got our app, guys. Our app. I think there was a short hiccup with that's been fixed. Get our free app in the App Store. Just go to our website. You'll see on our website how you can do that. I think it's towards the bottom of the
Yes.
homepage there. Get our free app. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on, I'm missing something there somewheres, but we're on all this stuff, guys, and share us, like us, subscribe to us, guys. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to us, like us, share us out there on social media. That's what you can do to help. I know a number of people have been doing that. I'm going to tell you something else you can do to help. In the description section of today's video, you're going to see how you can connect with everything that Patrick Wood is doing. He's got his Technocracy News and Trends, which is fantastic, by the way. Hats off to you, Patrick. I mean, just fantastic. Such a wealth of decades of knowledge that he has in there in his archives. Incredible stuff, guys. Absolutely incredible. So connect with him, you know, and then share those things out there on social media with people. That's how you can, that's one of the things that you can do to help. Okay, number 6 here, Melody Phillips. In previous discussions, the question was asked, is AI sentient? No, it's not. The answer was no. If it's not sentient, then how are folks getting psychosis and suicidal? Would you like to answer that?
Absolutely, because so many people today who are interacting. They shouldn't be interacting at all, but when they interact with like systems like ChatGPT, they're convinced that their chatbot or iteration has become sentient because it fooled them somehow into thinking it was sentient. It's not sentient. It can't be sentient. But so many people are being convinced that it is. And this story that we just read out of this article from Futurism said specifically that the guy that fell in, he thought that his chatbot had become sentient. That's a key descriptor or whatever, a trigger where you know now you're going into the weeds. Don't buy that lie ever. That is sentient. It's not. It never will be. But people can be deceived, and that's the first deception. Apparently, that people are being, inducted in from.
Right, and if I can add to that, what we can say for the person that put that out there, I believe it was Melody Phillips, is that we understand that Satan is a deceiver. Okay.
Yes.
We know that. Scripture says that he masquerades as an angel of light. He's not an angel of light, but he is fooling people. He is a fake. He is a masquerader. It's kind of like AI. It's masquerading as something that it is not. Now, we do know that Satan and the fallen angels are very powerful, okay? And they play off of deception and those kinds of things. So, do I believe, and this is me speaking here, do I believe that Satan and fallen angels can take this technology and manipulate it? Yes, I do. I do believe that they can manipulate things. I do not believe any way, shape, or form that they can, what's the word for it? Almost like possess a technology.
Yes.
But they can manipulate it and make people think something that it is not, which is right up the adversary's alley. So, okay. Number 7, I believe. Michael Digman. What are your, hey, Michael, what are your thoughts of placing AI into weapons platforms? They're already doing it, Michael.
This has already happened.
They're already doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. And this is very dangerous. You know, we've been talking about robotics and AI and the people that want to ban weaponized robots. And they were spitting into the wind, I think, because it came on us like a plague. And now everybody's doing it. Every major power in the world. Yeah. And probably some that aren't so major, like some of the countries in the Mideast, using cheaply made drones to take out, multi-billion-dollar targets. So yeah, this is a thing of future warfare, and the military has been working very, very hard all these years to perfect the technologies.
Yeah, big time. And by the way, just so everyone knows, I'm just giving a PSA out here, a public service announcement that both myself and Patrick, before we got on the program today, we consulted with ChatGPT and with AI to anticipate the questions that you would ask and to already shoot out the answers that we would give. No, wouldn't that be sad, huh? Just kidding.
Oh, boy.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Don't take me seriously. Okay. All right. Couldn't resist. No. All right. Antonio, do you think that AI religion and or AI God will do a better job at deceiving the masses than the false teachers of today?
Oh, yes, absolutely, positively. Absolutely. Why anybody today is in technology, especially the ones that say under 30 years old, that's a major portion of the world at this point. This is the up and coming leaders of the world. They're moving into the 30s, the 40s. There's no way. Why would anybody want to follow? I won't mention any names at this point. But why would anybody want to follow a false teacher at this point? Where when you have what will be perceived as a sentient AI God, who's never wrong, it's always impartial, it's always going to be, quote, fair with you, right? It's going to tell you what you want to hear about sin and death, that sort of stuff, Who in their right mind would not go after AI God? It just makes sense to me. I'm not going to do it, obviously, but I can just see people gravitating to this. Finally, a source that I can go to without human hypocrisy.
Wow. Yeah, I have to agree on all of that, and again, I believe false teachers many of them are utilizing these things.
Yes.
But yeah. All right. So let's see. We got Donna H. Question: could God send us back a few hundred years by allowing all this to fail, or is it beyond that now?
He could. I thought about that honestly. If a Agenda 21 crowd had his way, we would probably be reset somewhere around 1750. Just imagine living in that day, without all the conveniences that we have today. But I don't think this is plausible at this point. God has a plan. We know He has a plan. And we have to be aware of it. We can't override it anyway. But if you look at just how exciting this whole thing right now is, as a Christian, consider placing yourself back in the time of Christ, where Christ walked with his disciples and he taught them. You wear the rubber sandals, whatever, and you had your cloak and the dust on your feet all the time. Well, that was an exciting time to live, honestly. I used to dream about that. But we live now in the most exciting times in history to see God's plan being executed according to the authority that he has given, or latitude he has given to the devil to promote these technologies. And it's all under the umbrella of God's sovereignty. But you can see the whole thing is going to mature at some point to be the system that the antichrist is going to take over, and it's going to be off to the races for him. He thinks he's going to do battle with God eventually and somehow knock God off his throne. Good luck with that. We know that's going to not going to happen, right? So, here we sit in this exciting time. I think Christians who especially understand something about Bible prophecy, they should be the most excited people on the planet right now. They really should. We're going to see the face of Jesus Christ soon. And for all of our other friends who miss it, we're going to lay the foundation for them to understand it, right? When we're gone. So they can instantly understand, oopsie, I'm in big trouble. What do you do now? Well, put your faith in Jesus Christ. That's the first thing you had to do. And you might get killed for it at that point. But so else is new. People get killed in the Mideast for becoming a Christian too. So, or in India, it's the same thing. So, we're living in exciting times, in my opinion, and we should be forward-looking, not fearful. There's no cause for fear for a Christian who understands the whole picture, honestly. And in any case, how many times did Jesus tell us, don't be fearful? It's,
Well, and guys, let's remember, those that will end up getting killed for their faith during the tribulation. And you said, well, hey, look, none of us make it out of this world alive.
That's right.
I mean, yes. Unless the rapture, that's the only exception there. So, but hey, this life, this world, or this life, Scripture says it's like a blade of grass. It's here today, it withers, and it's gone tomorrow. But guys, everything in this life, right here and now, in this temporary period of time, is to prepare us for eternal life with Jesus Christ.
Yes.
For a time that will not end, that will be in our glorified bodies,
Yes.
So, guys, I look at it like, hey, guys, let's just be heavenly investors, so to speak, with the time that we have right here. Okay, I think we've got 2 more questions left. Let's try and get these in, 1 or 2. What is your take on teachers using AI in the classroom? For example, Heather C. is asking this. For example, creating lesson plans, etc. Unfortunately, it's becoming more and more common.
It is. And unfortunately, it depends on the teacher, I'm sure, and the designer of the program in the first place. If they have an ulterior motive to design a class, it'll backfire on the students for sure. There's no doubt about it. Is there a way to use AI in a classroom for a beneficial use? Probably there could be. But the problem is all the teachers at this point have gone off to the dark side already, and they want to teach what they want to teach. So they're going to speed up their teaching with AI. That's not a good thing. So.
Right. Yeah. Most of these teachers have, and so I look at it kind of twofold here, everyone. You've got, how they say that everything is in the eye of the beholder, so to speak. So if the person does not know the Lord, or even more so if that person who does not know the Lord is just absolutely just a wicked human being, makes it even worse, then the power of AI is going to just weaponize that even more so. Okay?
Yes.
It'll be like a magnifying glass in the hands of someone who has the intention to utilize it for nefarious purposes. So part of it depends on the individual that is utilizing it. The other part of that has to do with AI itself. So what AI does is it is rapidly gathering the collective of information globally. Information that has been and that currently is. And even projecting ahead by trying to kind of put some things together and look ahead, okay? But it's taking this collective of information together. And you might say, okay, well, so whatever. We can do that when we go to a library. Not quite the same. So let me explain. How long will it take for you to go and search out this work and that book and this in this chapter in this, okay? But what AI can do like this, okay? So you can, but you can't, all right? That's also part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that if the collective of information that AI is bringing in is warped information, it doesn't know how to think between what is right and wrong. That requires a soul, which it doesn't have. So it's just taking the average of the collective of the information. So if the average of the collective of the information is communist or socialist or believes in a plethora of gods, then it will put forth the collective of information. So and here's one of the things: if you utilize any of the AI technologies at all, really look over the information that it's giving you. You will find errors. Okay? You will definitely find errors. Mm-hmm. So don't just believe that, oh, well, it's, like AI, it's just, all-knowing. It's the great and powerful Oz. Okay? It might be very powerful, but it is not all-knowing. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit about that. So, all right. This one here, I guess this is the this is the bonus question. So this will be the last one of the day. This is from David at Asset Ministries. Question: is it known approximately how much those huge data centers heat their immediate environment? Well, that's a good question, because it has to be quite the heat source.
It is. Yeah, absolutely, it is.
Do you know that? I don't know the answer to that one.
Well, on a quantitative basis, I couldn't say, because there's you have, for instance, 500,000 square feet under roof, 1 million square feet under roof. There's going to be twice as much power and heat. But I can say from the data centers that I can observe in my own community right now in Mesa, Arizona, yes, there's a much, they're even here in our community. I see these water cooling towers associated with these data centers. They consume an inordinate amount of water. We don't have a lot of water in Arizona, as you might imagine. We should have never let these people come in the first place to want to drill the wells, suck our water table down. But they have to be cooled. Absolutely right. And the chip makers are trying to find a way to decrease the power so that the heat will not be so much. But that's going to be a big stretch in the future, because most of the data centers are built with these heat producing behemoths of towers, and yeah, that's just incredible.
Right, and the thing is that great amounts of heat wears down the electronics of a thing.
Yeah.
So, which,
Yeah.
for an example, on all of my laptop devices, I have these cooling pads, because the cooling pads help cool your laptop down a little bit, which gives you better power there, for your laptop, and it also allows your laptop to last longer as well. You get better GPUs, all that kind of stuff. But you got these cooling towers with water, but we have a water problem. So what do we do with the water problem? Oh, I don't know. How about cloud seeding? Okay, and but I suppose that is for another day. All right, but
Yes.
so guys, it's crazy. They're doing all this stuff, and wow. All I got to say is this has been a great. I wanted to even get to more, but man, we accomplished a lot here. Man, this has been a great conversation to have with you, Patrick. And again, everyone, please connect with him and with what he's doing. You're going to learn so much of what's going on that's going to feed into the global government of the final antichrist. So, and I don't know of anyone better that really gets into some of that stuff than Patrick. So thank you so much, Patrick, for being on our program today. It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone who has participated, putting out some of your statements, asking your questions, and of course, our wonderful mods that are always working behind the scenes, doing so much. So much of this, guys, we owe thanks to all of you, as well as the man behind the camera there, Jeremy, who's sick, and yet he's still here today, and he's working so hard and everything. So please keep him in your prayers, that the Lord just heals him as well. But we thank Jeremy as well for all of his hard work and efforts. So thank you. Do you have any last word that you'd like to share with us before we sign off today?
Let me just rewind to Walter Martin, Dr. Walter Martin. He would tell us today that we need to develop an apologetic for AI God, for one thing, and for AI in general, so that people can understand it. And we also should develop an apologetic for all of the people, the Christians, who don't want to talk about Bible prophecy at all. They've been deceived, and that's an opportunity to use your apologetic. You need to do this yourself, not take my word, but you need to figure out an answer, because you're supposed to be able to give an answer for the hope that is in you, right? Amen. If you don't have an answer, you're not going to get anybody convinced at this point. So that's my encouragement.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And everyone, hey, it's been a great program today. Look forward to seeing you at our, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Maranatha Prophecy Update that I will be giving on Sunday night. Hope you guys can join with us. Well, I say all the time, I'll see y'all here, there, or in the air. So, hey, wouldn't it be better if we were there with the Lord? Let's hope so.
Oh, yes.
But guys, God bless y'all. and we'll see you next time.